if I can get a wisdom tooth out, 4 full bony wisdom teeth out in 10 minutes.
Right.
And it looks heavy handed, maybe because I'm working fast, but the quality is the same.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Welcome back to another episode of the Tooth of Dirt podcast, Peeps, with your peep Irene.
Yes, I can't wait.
Live in living color. Where am I? I am in Seattle, Washington.
Close to.
Close to.
I mean, people from Seattle will say, where are you from? You could be from Washington State, but you're saying Seattle.
So
people don't say Washington.
I'm interviewing someone who I haven't introduced yet, who's already just so excited.
I think we're in Kent.
Johnson.
Kent, Washington.
We are in Kent, as per the address to this lovely golf course in a gated community that almost didn't let my Uber driver in.
Really?
Yeah. You had to like roll down the back window.
And you had to say,
and
going to the country club.
We're going to the country club. And they were like, oh, okay. All right. They saw him and they're like, are you an Uber driver? He's like, yes. Anywho, it's a very nice community. I got to hang out with your peeps today.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you. You run a really cool like study club for the local hygienists that refer to your practice, which is, we'll get into that at the end, but that's what I've been doing here. This is the second time that I came back.
Correct.
Part 2 of my lecture. First lecture was about bacteria, and I think it was called Bacteria Gone Wild. I think that went over many people's heads. There's so many people that don't remember the Girls Gone Wild TV shows. Do you remember those, or does that go over your head too?
No, I remember because those came out in high school.
Yeah.
And, I never watched any of them, but
right.
I knew what they were.
Of course not. Didn't?
No, I didn't. No. I never watched any of them.
You're a good man. Yeah, good human.
Try to be moral.
Yeah. And then that was the title of it. But then today was the implant checklist, which we'll talk about some implant stuff. First, let's talk about you.
Sure.
I only know
No one likes talking about themselves, though.
I know.
So
I will ask questions.
You have to ask
take me
questions.
back to the beginning of time. What was birth like? Where'd you grow up? Where'd you go to school?
I was the product of a C-section.
Okay.
Because there's 2 of us.
You have a twin?
Yeah, I have a twin sister.
Stop.
Yeah.
There's another one of you out there?
Yes.
Okay.
There's 2 of us.
Okay.
And don't ask me if we're identical because that's impossible.
It's not possible. Yeah.
I'm a boy and she's a
Someone
girl.
else has asked you if you were an identical twin?
I think I've had a medical doctor ask me if I was identical.
Stop.
I was like, where did you go to medical school?
Tukwila, Washington.
Yeah.
Here?
SeaTac Airport.
Okay.
Yeah, so she was born, breathed her first life of
You're
air.
a doctor too, right?
Actually, I'm a dental specialist, so...
Head and neck.
She beat me into this earth by 30 seconds, so she's held that over my head since birth.
I feel like that's a requirement when you're a twin.
Yeah, so basically I've had this inferiority complex my entire life, and so I've always just...
Is she a
maybe
physician?
That's given me that extra effort I've needed.
Is she a physician?
No, she's an artist.
Okay.
She sells these really cool paintings.
Cool. What kind of painting?
There's flowers and animals, and some of them are abstract.
Does she sell them online?
She sells them online, yes.
We're going to plug her?
And
Let's plug her.
Jenny Vorwaller. Look her up.
Jenny Vorwaller.
Jenny. Last name Vorwaller. Vorwaller.
I'll link that in the description.
Yeah.
Cool.
Has an Instagram. She has local shows and
that's cool.
Stuff in Seattle. And
artists have a very interesting brain.
Yes, I would definitely say she's more left brain.
Yeah.
I think left is more artsy and right is more scientific.
Right?
Or do I have it the opposite way?
I think it's the other way around.
Maybe it's the opposite. I don't know.
Which
we're going to look it up right here.
Which, so are you not artistic at all?
No, I do believe I'm actually artistic because
you have to be.
You kind of have to be in dentistry.
Right brain function is associated with creativity, emotion, intuition, and spatial ability.
So I had it opposite.
Yeah, the other way around.
Yeah, so she's more right brain.
That's such a left brain thing to do.
I think I'm a little bit of both, though.
You have to be. I think in dentistry, you have to be a little creative.
Well, and you need the eye to, to make teeth look good.
Yeah.
Or to make implants go in straight. Or the spatial awareness to drill out a wisdom tooth, which is what I do. And to look at someone's face and form and function and say, hey, where should I reposition your bones and your bite to make
especially when you're not the one restoring. I feel like we can get into that after, because that was like one big point that I made today is that you're at a disadvantage. Like you really are at such a disadvantage as the person putting something in and not knowing. I don't want to give that whole point away now, but tell me more about your sister. So you're one of how many?
There's 5 of us.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
And you were where in the...
We had to fight for food all the time.
Where are
we're
you?
the oldest.
You're the oldest?
I'm the second. Well, going back to my previous point, I'm the second oldest.
Oh, right. Second oldest. Got it. And then you grew up here?
Grew up I followed my dad and mom around while he finished dental school and residency.
Oh, you're a dental legacy baby.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Silver spoon in my mouth.
Oh, come on.
Never had to work a hard day in my life. Yeah.
that silver spoon got
No,
spread out a lot.
He finished his residency in 1990. We moved here to Washington State, and that's where I grew up.
That's cool.
From like 10 years old
Where'd you go
until
to dental school?
Temple in Philadelphia.
Fan? Not a fan? Thoughts?
Would
you recommend that school to people now?
You know, when you're getting service at a restaurant and the waiter gives you really good service, you're going to tip them.
Yeah.
You pay for the food.
Yeah.
So I paid for my dental school tuition. That's the food.
Yeah.
Temple then asks me for donations on a yearly basis, and that's what I would consider the tip, because I've already paid for the food and the service.
Why do they legacy? Why would they ask you for donations?
Sometimes dental schools ask for donations, or
okay.
I never tip my dental school. I'll just leave it at that. I think some dental schools really want you to be part of the community and help you out, and they want you to learn. And there's certain people in the programs that want you to grow and learn, but I think overall dental schools just make it difficult at least they made it difficult for a lot of us.
I've interviewed a lot of dentists on the podcast, and none of them had great things to say about their schools, including I interviewed a dentist recently, Dr. Joyce Kahn, who went to California, whatever, something.
What's up, Joyce?
Joyce.
I know Joyce.
Also had nothing but not good things to say about the preparation.
Yeah, maybe that's looking at the glass.
And you looking
empty,
at it now, would you have said that same thing a couple of years out of school, or has it just solidified how much more you now know than you did when you left?
I think there's a better way to go about it. When people or when your faculty know that you've matched into a specialty program, and then they're trying to bust your chops on finishing that last endo. It's I'm never going to do an endo again. I'm probably not.
Did you know you were never going to do an endo? You wanted to go into oral surgery?
I entered dental school with the goal of becoming an oral surgeon.
Yeah.
I don't think I was a gunner type, cutthroat. I like to share notes and make notes and email them to the class and stuff, but that was always my goal. But I loved dentistry enough that if that didn't work out, I was perfectly happy being a general dentist, or maybe find another specialty, with the exception of maybe endo. No offense to my endo friends.
Do you have any really good best friends that are endodontists?
So my uncle is an endodontist.
Yeah.
And then his son-in-law bought his practice. So he married my cousin. So we're really tight.
There's a lot of dental
work
peeps
together.
in the family.
Yeah, I have an uncle who's an orthodontist. And kind of just been around dentistry my whole life.
That's cool.
So that's what got me interested in it. And then followed my dad's footsteps into oral surgery.
So if you were to give any advice to up and coming dental students with this path in mind, is there anything that you would say that you would do differently, or would
just don't do
more of?
Don't go into oral surgery.
Really?
And if my words don't convince you and you still want to do oral surgery,
Dr. Jason,
then do oral surgery. No, I really think it is one of the best specialties in medicine and dentistry combined out there. For many reasons, there's autonomy. You get to work with patients. You get to do anesthesia, surgery component if you like blood, getting hands-on. You get to do dental school and hospital stuff, which is nice.
Do you ever get bored? Or you were another single tooth?
No, I mean, I like to be bored at work. That means that nothing exciting is happening.
Yeah.
Right? It's routine wisdom teeth. Okay, I can handle that.
Yeah.
I try to avoid the drama.
Or what?
Well, I don't know, work drama, patient drama. I just
like people stuff.
I just like the nice, straightforward cases. Now I'm definitely going to take on challenging cases because that's what people send to you most of the time is stuff they don't want to do in their office or they're not interested in surgery. So they say, hey, you know what? There's a great group of guys over here in this practice and we're going to send them the wisdom teeth at the challenging implants or whatever. So I like that component. There's always something a little different.
Yeah.
Because everyone's anatomy is different. Wisdom teeth are like fingerprints. You approach them the same way, but they're always a little different.
That's an interesting quote. That was cool.
Yeah, thanks.
Let's talk about specialties for a second. Let's talk about from the perspective of a hygienist, from a clinician who refers out for certain things. I got this question today. How do you decide who to refer to? And I think you are on the receiving end of these patients. You just said like people refer out the stuff that they don't particularly want to do or know how to do. So in the realm of surgeons, we've got perio, we've got oral surge, and then we've got prostho, which is like the all-in people. And perhaps it's a clear cut, okay, we don't do these types of prosthetics in our practice, so we're automatically going to send to prostho for the restorative and maybe implant stuff or not. How do you feel about, like, if you could give a piece of advice to a referring doc or a referring clinician, like, what do you want? What kind of work do you want to be referred to? How would you recommend someone decide who to send to?
I think what would drive someone in wanting to work with an office would just be the relationship, which is kind of all encompassing. There's communication, there's trust. Maybe they haven't seen your work before. So there's always that hesitation. Well, let's try this person out a couple of times and then see how not only the doctor performs, but maybe the team that the doctor has in place. And think if that process goes smooth, ultimately the person referring out just doesn't want a headache or they want to send that patient off knowing that they're just going to be taken care of. Because if a patient comes back, so let's say you refer to the guy down the street or maybe just right next door to you.
Sure.
And the patient comes back and says, that was amazing. Period. Done. Okay, great.
Expectation met. Yeah.
Perfect. And then there's no other, you go about your day. Now it's a stress-free, you're just taking out wisdom teeth all day.
Yeah.
But let's say that the patient comes back and says it was a nightmare from the start. And then they spend the next 20 minutes while you're looking at your watch saying, oh gosh, I got to get on to my next patient. And I care, but I kind of don't. But they had issues from the front to the back, to the surgery, to the post-op. Communication was horrendous. You had to, type and call that office for letters or x-rays or whatever. And you're like, even though they're convenient, they're right across the hall from me. Well, the guy 3 blocks away or 4 miles away, he does all that stuff better, or gal. And I'm just gonna refer to that place instead.
So you're putting it from the perspective of like patient experience, but not skill at all. And I think there's just like
skill is part of that. That's I think
skill
where
is part of it too.
Trust comes
but you're
in.
saying what I'm hearing is that in the distribution between skill and patient experience, obviously you're not going to send someone to someone that is incompetent or that you don't agree with their philosophies, but that the patient's experience should also be held and the communication to the office should be held at a high level too. Now, what I'm saying is that there's this, like, in our world, there's this common misconception that oral surgery is like the rough and tumble kind of specialty.
Heavy-handed.
Right. That there's, and I think we see it on Instagram too. Like there are some that are perhaps a little bit more delicate in their approaches, but there's also the like, how fast can I inject this like entire carpule? How quick can I remove this tooth? And there is this like, this masculinity surrounding the specialty.
Pulling out your tape measure and you're trying to
I
measure
didn't say
everyone's
that,
skill.
but it's just there is this like connotation around it.
I think there's always this competition.
And then there's on the perio side, it's a very more finesse focused. Even if you just look at a variety of periodontists, I'll link a whole bunch below. I'm going to link like 5 oral surgery Instagram accounts and then 5 perio Instagram accounts.
I probably know all of them.
I'm going to do it on purpose that you know all of them.
And I love and respect all of them. They are listed.
But you definitely notice a very different vibe. And I wonder if that changes the way that clinicians refer out, because they're like, well, this implant is in a particularly delicate zone. I'm going to refer it to my periodontist because it appears as though they're more gentle. Whereas if I send it to oral surgery, is that a thing that you notice? Are you seeing stuff and you're like, I wish I would have been the one to do that?
In my practice, I'm so busy that
you don't even notice.
It doesn't bother me if someone goes somewhere else. I do see what you're saying though about heavy-handed versus finesse, but I think you can have the best of both worlds. I mean, if I can get a wisdom tooth out, 4 full bony wisdom teeth out in 10 minutes,
right?
And it looks heavy-handed, maybe because I'm working fast, but the quality is the same.
Doesn't matter. Yeah.
Doesn't matter. I mean, I do soft tissue grafts on occasion. I'm not recording them or having the gentle music in the background or the
There's
water,
no one playing a violin.
the water flowing over the gingiva and the suction and the delicate instruments and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I get out of soft tissue grafts and I go, man, number one, I respect periodontists that want to do this all day. Number two, I'm glad I don't do it all day.
See, so that's the thing. Yeah.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to have finesse in dentistry, period.
Of course. Sure.
And if I'm going to take out a tooth, do I really have to spend 30 minutes laying a flap?
Right.
I don't think you do. I did a lot of stuff in residency. I'm not ashamed of, but we had 80 patients a day. There's 2 or 3 of us seeing those 80 patients in the morning. And we would take out teeth super quick.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, that looks really ugly. You know, the soft tissue or the bone, you put stitches in. You know what? I want to see you in a couple of weeks. And they come back, you're like, stuff heals really well.
Fine.
It just heals really well. So yeah, I don't know. 10 minutes to lay a papilla open. I don't think so.
No shit.
Then maybe that's just the oral surgeon in me. Yeah.
No, that's fine. No, and that's a question that I ask too. Is like, who do we refer this to when we're sitting in the like chair side with the patient? And we kind of like look at each other and we're like, perio, ortho, or perio or OMFS, like who's this go to? So we're kind of like looking and we're thinking about.
And I think it depends on your doctor and the training. You could take a room of 100 periodontists and 95 of them are going to be fantastic, and there's going to be 5 that just are horrible. Same with 100 oral surgeons. Say,
in any industry,
anything, like dentistry. There's
carpentry.
There's dentists out there that I would, if my number 9 fell out, I would go to them in a heartbeat and say, I trust you. You are going to do fantastic.
For Canadians, that's your front tooth. That's your 1-1.
Yeah, 1-1 or
2-1, whatever.
2-1.
Yeah.
Your central incisor.
Central incisor. This one. Yeah, you're right. We have this like ongoing, there's a dental office that opened up right across the street from my office. Mm-hmm. Complete different vibe. Like they're $99 cleanings and free this, free that, like advertised in the windows with like the old guy with an apple in his hand, like just showing how good his suction is on his dentures. And my office is like none of that. Like says Tooth Life Studio and there's nothing. There's nothing else. There's like such a big difference in the aesthetic of the practice, which I also believe that transcends to the work. So like not everyone is going to be everyone's clinician. What's your favorite procedure? Hands down.
I just really like doing wisdom teeth.
Yeah. If you can do wisdom teeth all day long. Non-complicated.
I would be happy.
You would be a happy guy. You're so easy to please.
Yeah.
Just the easiest guy to please. Just give me some wisdom teeth. I'm fine.
Give me some Versed, some ketamine, maybe propofol.
Ketamine's on the high alert these days. What's happening in the ketamine world? Why is it so difficult to get?
I don't know. I think there was a tornado that hit a Pfizer building and caused the ketamine shortage.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me more. How much ketamine do you use?
My typical.
How does that work? What's the cocktail? What's the like wisdom teeth, teenaged girl, not a drug use,
normal weight, 70 kilograms, I think.
We measuring kilograms here? Okay.
We convert it here.
Convert it.
But
okay. Got it.
Just average teenage.
That's like 130
teenage
pounds.
Male or female that comes in the office. I am going to give them upfront 5 milligrams of Versed.
Okay.
Considering healthy and vitals are good.
Yep.
And 0.4 milligrams of atropine.
Okay.
People ask me, why atropine?
Yeah, why atropine?
Because in a few minutes, I'm going to give ketamine.
Yeah.
Ketamine makes people salivate like crazy. Now, I like ketamine because it kind of separates your mind from your body. Get this open-eyed stare. Patients have no idea what's going on, but it's good because it keeps your airway open.
Yeah.
And because they're in this nice state, then you can get the wisdom teeth out pretty quick.
Yeah. And you can see their pupils.
Mm-hmm.
Just observe them well.
So I'll do the Versed and atropine. I wait for just 1 minute or maybe until the patient starts getting relaxed or a little sleepy. And then that's when I give them the ketamine. It takes forever in my mind to wait for that 60 seconds to give the ketamine because surgeons are inherently impatient. Right. So once I give that, wait another 10, 15 seconds, and then they're gone. I'll also give some Zofran, which is for nausea, and some Decadron for swelling and post-op nausea, vomiting management. Yeah.
Cool. That's cool.
And usually the wisdom teeth are out in 15 minutes or less and suturing up, and then tap them on the shoulder, and they say, when are we going to start?
No way.
Yeah, most people are like, thing? We're done already? And they ask that 6 or 7 more times.
How long does it take for the effects of all of those drugs?
Depends on the person.
To wear off.
So, I mean, usually I'll tell them, don't do anything for 24 hours. Go home, just sleep it off.
Yeah.
Some people wake up and they're good to go. Like their body just metabolizes it.
In like 20 minutes, it's all gone.
Yeah.
It's such a low dose.
I mean, it's still in their body.
Sure. But their consciousness.
Their state is like, I'm good. I'm good. I could probably drive home. Now we don't let them, obviously.
No.
Some people wake up super tired. You have to keep snapping at them. Come on, keep your eyes open. Let's go. Some people wake up YouTube material. The goofy ones. That's when the parents get their cameras out.
Yeah.
And then others are super emotional, crying. And you're like, why are you crying? The patient says, I'm crying? I have no idea. And then we get them calmed down and you bring the parents back and they see the parents and they start crying again. And the parents start freaking out. Why is he crying? Would you hurt my kid?
What'd you do to my son?
Like, no, it's just normal. They're going to be emotional. And it's somewhat funny. But some parents.
That was me. I was the between funny and crying. I just thanked everyone profusely. I was just so grateful. I'm like, thank you so much. And then they're just happy
because when you're young, you're like, oh, I got to go get my wisdom teeth. That's kind of nerve wracking. We see a lot of first timers.
Yeah.
No anesthesia before.
Yeah.
So
don't know what to expect.
A lot of anxiety, nervousness.
Do you use these types of drugs when placing implants?
Yep.
Yeah. Similar. Where do you cross the line? I guess it depends on what the patient wants or needs. But if you're doing a single tooth or dropping a few on a whole arch for like a denture supported implant.
It's all about patient comfort for us. So we usually give them the option unless there's some medical issues that we don't want to mess with. For the most part, though, we give the patient the option.
Yeah.
Awake or asleep. And they'll say, oh, I can do it awake. I'm not nervous. If it's a little bit bigger procedure, like
longer,
taking out all the teeth, or a little bit more involved, they say, well, you need to be asleep. Some patients are like, well, I want to be awake for my wisdom teeth. But it's totally sideways. It's deep in the bone. It's next to the nerve. Like, you're just going to be better off going to sleep. So we're just going to do it that way.
This is what I want.
I'm trying to talk them into that. Yeah, but
there's no breaks.
Most patients are pretty rational. You talk to them about the pros, cons, and the benefits, and they're like, okay, I see where you're coming from. And or you just talk to them about the procedure. I have to cut open your gums.
That's pretty.
Open up your tooth. I got to drill in the bone. There's lots of vibration, water. It's next to the main nerve branch, or nerve trunk here.
You tell them all of this.
Yeah,
it seems like it's
try to lead them
TMI. Lead them down to the decision. Make it feel like it's their idea.
So we have a lot of Boeing people around us, engineers, and they just want to know. What's the pitch thread on your implants? What's the torque?
No way.
What's the material? Yeah. How do you approach the wisdom? How do you take it out? And I say, well, just go watch my Instagram. There's lots of stuff on there.
Follow and like for more.
Follow and like for more. You see how it's done on the West Coast. And
better than the East Coast? Do you believe you are a better surgeon than Bloody Tooth Guy? Oh. No, that's not true. Don't worry, Jason. We love you. That's not a question.
I was actually going to say
that's going to be the trailer for
much
this.
love and respect.
That's going to be much
for Bloody Tooth
that's
Guy.
Going to be.
I think we're very, very skilled at what we do.
Yeah.
What's nice about oral surgeons, for the most part, is you come out of residency having done and seen a lot.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot of on the job training. Now, with that said, you go to CE and you learn finesse stuff, and
sure.
So am I different?
And you do the reps. I mean, that's the thing. Is it takes the time, it takes the reps, it takes the learning opportunities.
The idea is just being better every day.
Yeah, 1%.
So I'm better.
1% better today
than I was 10 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about what we were talking about today. Let's give the hygienists some love.
Sure.
Let's talk about implant failures. So today we kind of talked about, made it pretty simple in the sense of early failures versus late failures.
Mm-hmm.
Failures due to bacteria, and then failures due to traumatic occlusion or occlusion. Kind of splitting them up into two, just to give people something to look for. How do you feel about that communication that's required between the clinical team that's doing the implants and everyone that was in here today? None of them place implants. They all send them to you.
Right.
Like every office that was in presence today. And there seemed to be this like question of like, well, what do I do? How do I, where do I fall as a hygienist in this like very detailed and specific patient care and patient management protocol? How involved do I need to be? And what do I do? And some of them feel like kind of powerless, almost like they're not part of the restorative or they're not part of the placement strategy. And then it falls on us to like maintain stuff. Patient comes and sees us every 3 months and we're just like, I don't know. What,
I didn't place this implant. I didn't put the crown on it. Why am I taking care of it?
And many of them today didn't know the difference between a bone level implant or a gingival level implant, or that there's even a design difference, or the difference between a machine finish, not a machine finish, rough finish.
We rarely place
anything
tapered.
Yeah.
It's all bone level. That's probably why they don't know it.
Well, no, and I think it's just like we're not taught this stuff in school. And the implant maintenance, quote unquote, protocols that are out there are all based on someone like me up in the front of a class telling them what they did, which may not be the right thing.
And there's a wide variance. So.
Yeah, huge variance. So if advice-wise, what do you say? Like, how would you approach something like that if you wanted to be part of someone's
Well, I mean, I think for the most part, at least I try to say this, if a hygienist wants to come in and watch a procedure, they're more than welcome.
That'd be cool.
To do that. Again, you can watch Instagram and stuff, but there's only so much you can glean from short clips on Instagram or videos. I think the biggest part for a hygienist is probably patient education. If they want to have a part in that, because they're not really going to tell the dentist how to do the restoration.
Sure.
They're not going to tell me how to place the implant, although they probably see some implants and go, man, I would have done it this way, It'd
have to be pretty bad for someone to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're humans. So I think everyone's had their bad implant placement,
right,
or horrible failure. But I think in our practice, we try to get people as involved as much as they want to be involved. I've done a few implants for some of the hygienists who were here today. Actually, one of my implants failed.
On her? Yeah. No way.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Early
or late?
It was early.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of at the torque test.
Yeah.
I think, so I've changed the way I've done my custom healing abutments.
Okay.
So I took the tooth out. I did an immediate implant. I bone grafted, and I did a custom
molar or premolar.
It was a molar.
Molar. Max, man.
And the maxilla. And then 3 months later, you go and torque test it. Implant falls out. And you're like, oh shoot, it's a popular practice that refers to us a lot. She's totally cool with it. It happens. Regrafted. We're gonna replace it soon. But I think, and again, this is just totally from left field because I don't know if it's true or not. But when I was making my tissue formers back in the day, I would polish them and stuff, and I'd clean them off a little bit, but I wasn't.
Debris?
Yeah, maybe there's something there. I mean, it's clean, but is it? I don't know.
Right.
Maybe it was the extraction site just had a little bit of
infection
still left in it, or maybe the bone just wasn't there.
Yeah.
So maybe you got too close to the sinus and there's some sinus issues or.
Yeah. And then what? So what'd you say? What'd you do?
Everyone cries.
She cried?
No one cries.
Only the implant
inside,
when you tap it.
Just the implant. The implant cries when you pull it. So yeah, I say, oh shoot. Say, well, your implant didn't work. Try to downplay it. And patients are always like, well, what did I do wrong? It's like, you didn't do anything wrong.
You sneezed. You sneezed while you were asleep.
If it was your implant, you didn't do anything wrong either. I didn't do anything wrong. The patient didn't do anything wrong. If it's another person's implant,
they did something wrong.
You blame that. No, I'm just kidding. Hashtag not my implant.
Let me show you on the x-rays.
I try not to do that.
Yeah.
I say, implants just don't work sometimes. So we track all of the implants we place in practice, and we have like a 1.5%, maybe between 1.5% 2% non-integration rate. Failure.
Which is pretty standard.
I think it's pretty standard across the board.
1.52%.
And that's
between
the
first and 3 years.
3 months of placing. No, first 3 months of placing.
First 3 months of placing, yeah.
That number drops quite a bit from the 1 to 3 year mark.
Right.
It's pretty uncommon we get an implant that fails after the crown has been on.
Yeah.
But it's usually going to fail within that first year of being restored. But we don't see those very often. I would say we're definitely less than 1% on those.
That's good.
But you tell the patient, you didn't do anything wrong. I don't think we did anything wrong. You look at the x-ray. Just sometimes this happens.
Yeah.
Healing has to happen from step A to Z, and we got to D, and you decided not to heal right.
Your body didn't want to integrate.
So we don't charge patients for the next steps. We'll take the implant out, either replace it with maybe a longer or a larger implant, or we rebone graft, let it heal, and then come back and replace it.
Yeah.
My saying is, you don't have to pay me, but we're just going to be friends longer. That's it.
That's funny. Last couple of questions here. What do you recommend that clinicians do when they start to notice signs of inflammation or redness in the tissue? So like early signs of mucositis, no bone loss, radiographically noted or visible.
I want to be made known about that as soon as possible.
So and that's the thing. Another thing is like, when do we send patients back to whom placed it? My philosophy is, if I see something that doesn't look like it should look like,
send it back right away.
Send it back right away. Yeah. Is that how you feel too?
I feel that way too. So sometimes it's something that is easily solvable. So we do a lot of Straumann implants. We'll place the wide body implant, and we'll place on a regular body / wide body healing abutment. It gets a little confusing, but that connection is a little bit more narrow.
Yeah.
The dentist, and it looks totally fine. We send that out to the dentist, and either the dentist or the lab look at the implant size and say, oh, it's a wide body. We're going to make a wide body healing abutment, even though there's a regular body, or a wide body restorative abutment, even though there's a regular body healing abutment. So now there's a narrow platform healing abutment, and then the dentist takes that off and tries to put a wide body restoration there and says, number one, it's not fitting, or they crank it in there, and now there's swelling and inflammation, and it's like, oh, it hurts. And we get the patient back and we say, okay, that's something we can solve. You got to take the crown off. You got to put the normal or the regular body healing abutment back on, and then that's got to go back to the lab to get fixed.
What's your philosophy on why you do that? Why is that your
depth of placement?
Yeah.
So
how deep are you placing? Are you trying to go like 1 to 2 millimeters below?
It depends on the thickness of the tissue at the crest.
So if you have a thin biotype.
Let's say it's thin. I make my incision, I open the gums, and I see, oh, I only have a 1 millimeter thickness of tissue here. What's biologic width? 3-4 millimeters.
Yeah.
So if I place that implant at the crest, bone level, I only have 1 millimeter of soft tissue. What's the soft tissue going to do? It's going to want to establish. So you're going to get bone loss around your implant because the body wants 3 to 4 millimeters. So in that case, if I have a 1 millimeter thickness of crestal tissue, I'm going to place my implant 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters subcrestal and either hollow that out or do some kind of grafting or something to thicken that tissue out, or just let the body naturally do it. And it'll get down to the threads, it'll stop. So sometimes in the posterior, it's really just the healing abutment design. And if Strauman's watching this, I've asked several times. The wide body only comes with a gingival height of 1.5.
That's not enough.
So if I place my implant 2 millimeters below the crest, I have to use a regular body healing abutment because it has 1.5, 2.5, 3.5 heights to get up to the proper biologic width.
And does that go in like a letter or something? Does that go into and that's very considerate of you for the restorative dentist.
Yes, and we try to communicate that. We've gotten much better with our communication because
you need to
there's all these nuances you find out when you use a new system and a new implant comes out. And again, it goes back to that communication thing. So recently we had a dentist and a patient come in and I was like, oh, well, this is why. Was it not on your letter? And I looked at the letter. I was like, oh, it's there, but it doesn't really like bolded, scream, I placed this, so you need to do this and tell the lab to do that. The information's on there, all the sizes and shapes, but if you're a busy dentist, I'm not going to
sometimes we miss those letters altogether.
So we have changed. So we send stuff to the lab because we scan a lot of implants for our dentists. But we send that to the lab saying, this is the healing abutment, make the crown with this type of healing or final variobase or whatever. So now we just recently switched our letter to the dentist because again, it's just about communication. Yeah. And I would hope if you're a dentist and you're trying to work with a practice and you've heard good things and maybe the first experience wasn't as bad or wasn't as great, just reach out to that specialist and say, hey, I want to work with you guys or I'm trying, but I noticed this. And we are first, I think, in my opinion, to jump on and say, well, let's make it better for you. We have lots of dental offices that we customize our treatment towards how they want us to treat them. Yeah. Or that's communicate good.
So we've moved on from mucositis to periimplantitis. Now we have extension into the bone. What is your first misery? What is your first step to achieving healing? And when is it time to do something surgical?
To fish or cut bait type of thing. You have a number one, you involve the patient in the decision making. Say, well, we could do this. You could go in there. There's some really good practitioners out there. At least what they post on Instagram makes them look really good. Is that always the case? I don't know. But they'll open up the site, take the crown off, clean up around the implant, titanium burrs, all the granulation tissue's gone, good bleeding bone. Then you treat it with like EDTA or acid or whatever people are treating.
Some sort of acidic.
Gem 21 or whatever. There's all sorts of materials out there. And then they'll bone graft, they'll cover it, and then you get they usually show a PA and they don't reopen the site and show you what the site looks like, but they'll show you a PA. It says, oh, this bone looks fantastic. Yeah. Or you have 2 millimeters of bone growing, and then the implant has to come out. So you tell the patient, we could do this, try to bone graft around it. It's maybe not going to be as successful, but maybe it will be. Or we just take the implant out and start over again.
And how often do you see the latter, taking the bone graft out or taking the implant out?
With the implants that we place, not very often. But we definitely see it. Either some periimplantitis. It also depends. Sometimes you get an implant from a clinician or an x-ray and they say, hey, there's like 3 millimeters of thread showing on this implant. And maybe the implant's 10 years old and it's an x-ray from yesterday. Like, well, show me the x-ray from 5 years ago.
Yeah, and it hasn't changed.
It's the exact same. Well, I'd say that's a stable process. Yeah. Maybe it's an older implant or we weren't following the zero bone loss. I don't know if I can say that on camera, the proper height or depth to place an implant.
Or it was like my mom's implant the very first implant placed by a general dentist in a strip mall plaza.
I could tell you why. I was looking at those x-rays saying, I know why. I should
just send you all of them.
I know why those implants are failing. So again, the bone height was right here.
Yeah.
The implant was right here. But if you looked at the thickness of the soft tissue, it was like this. Yeah. So what happened? The body wanted to get that biologic width. Now you have exposed implant threads, food trap, short, squatty,
stubby teeth,
tomato on a stick crowns, just because the depth.
And there's plenty of room. Teeth opposing on the opposite side now for the last 5 years.
I think those implants would have been success if that dentist placed those implants 2 or 3 millimeters deeper and then had a better emergence profile in those crowns.
Yeah. So now we're in you live and you learn.
Live and learn.
Unfortunately. Cool. I'd like to end off the show with a couple of hot questions.
Okay.
You in?
Hot questions.
Hot questions from the card box.
Oh, card box questions.
Card box questions.
Do I get to pick?
Yeah, you pick. You get to pick.
Is this a game?
It's a game. So you have to you pick a card, you read it aloud, staring right at the camera.
Got it.
You can sit back a little bit. There we go. So pick your card.
You lifted one up. You want me to take that one?
No. You can't even pick a card. That's how stubby those fingers are for all those root-canals or for all those wisdom teeth.
My fingers aren't that stubby.
What's it say?
How are your political opinions changing? This is a hot mess card, huh? In today's climate.
We reuse those cards. All right. What's the answer?
I'm very pro-limited government.
I don't know what that means. I'm Canadian, so you have to really spell out what's happening on the U.S. front for me.
Let's talk about Justin Trudeau a little bit.
Oh, his most recent Nazi scandal. Did you see that? How did you not do your due diligence, bro? We do more due diligence when we hire a receptionist that works at our office.
I know.
You didn't
I think most politicians, when they get a little bit of power, they want more.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm just limited government. I don't think you need some government for sure.
Yeah.
But does a government entity have to control every aspect of your life? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So taxation is theft, right?
Yeah.
And we're taxed in America, at least I'm thinking Canada too, on everything. You wake up in the morning with your alarm clock and you're charging your phone, you're paying taxes on the electricity.
Right.
You go use your water, you're paying taxes on the water.
Yep.
You're paying taxes on the money your business brings in. You pay yourself, you're paying taxes on that.
And you spend that money grocery shopping.
You pay taxes on the gas, the food, the roads you are driving on that you're already paying taxes on have a toll, which is a tax. You just don't need that much government involved. And anytime government gets involved, it makes things less efficient. And ultimately, the people who are in charge of it suffer. So in Washington State, Seattle specifically, they try to solve the homeless problem. Lots of big cities have been trying to solve homelessness for 20 years. And there's many multi-millionaires who have been created out of this homelessness problem. I think Seattle has 350 people working on this, and they're all making salaries, 6-figure salaries. But why would they want to fix it when they would work themselves out of a job?
Right.
So,
and their fixes, in Toronto, we have a ton of homelessness. Obviously, arguably the biggest. It is the biggest city in Canada per capita. So now the solution is to move people out of our city. It's to move them into smaller communities that don't have the infrastructure, don't have grocery stores, don't have schools, don't have hospitals, barely have a doctor for the people that live there. It's just to ship people out to these other rural areas and create more problems in other places. And then, now it's oh, cool, well, we need to develop these areas. So the developers are getting a ton of money because they're now putting in new homes in these areas. They're getting government contracts to put in new buildings. It's are we ever really going to solve this quote unquote homeless problem if everyone is making a ton of money instead of putting the resources into the facilities that help people identify? Is it systemic health issues that is making them homeless? Is it mental health issues? Do they need therapy for drug abuse or over abuse or whatever the fancy words are saying? Investing that money into the actual homeless people to develop those people to change their lives instead of let's just pay Joe the contractor over there to put in 15 subdivisions. All right, deep question, last one.
Last deep question. Are you more attracted to a nomadic or settled life? Definitely settled. I don't know.
What kind of question is that?
I don't know. Do you want to do another card? Settled. I mean.
So, okay. I do want to do another card.
I like to travel.
But I also want to. So this doesn't mean are you currently happy in the life that you're living? This is like what's more appealing?
Settled.
Yeah. Because you have a settled life. But do you ever wonder?
So
I just read a book. I read a book called The Midnight Library by this guy named Matt something. And the concept of the book is that this woman passes away. She finds herself in this library of all of the books that are written based on other lives she would have lived had she changed a decision.
Interesting.
And there's one main book, and it's called the Book of Regrets. So she gets to flip through this Book of Regrets, almost like a thesaurus or a whatever. What do you call it? Not a thesaurus, like a table of contents almost. And she gets to flip through this regret and then read the book had she changed the regret, almost like a choose your own adventure kind of book. And then she gets to go live that life. But that life has an expiration date unless she chooses it. So let's say, marry a different person or whatever, backpack through Europe when you were 17. If she doesn't love that life, she gets pulled right back into the Midnight Library and has to make another decision for a different life. So this is what this card is asking. It's asking, not are you happy in the life that you live now, is if
you were to die, how big would your Book of Regrets be?
Mine would be pretty big.
I know. Gosh, I finished residency and I was like, I should buy some stock, like invest.
Bitcoin?
No, I was never really into the Bitcoin. I mean, sure, everyone wants to get into Bitcoin when it was worth.
I mean, at that point, you could have bought Apple and still been laughing.
But I remember looking and going, oh, this is kind of an expensive stock. And it was $50 a share.
For?
Amazon.
Oh, man.
And I was like, I had the money.
$50.
It's like, it was brand new to investing. I was like, $50 a share. I mean, I probably could have bought, I don't know.
What's it at now?
Like $3,000. It's the same with Chipotle. Chipotle, just like 3,000 or any kind of stock. So the lesson there is just invest early, invest often. That's all.
And the nomadic life is not very attractive. Settled is better.
I don't know. Sometimes you're scrolling through social media and you're like, oh, these two people and their 4 kids just sold everything. They bought a bus. They renovated it. And they just travel around homeschooling. And part of me is like, oh, that's kind of cool.
I know.
But
it is very cool.
But then I think of like the RV life. Like you got to go.
I know where to shower and like empty.
Well, they have showers
but you
had to like plug in your toilet and like empty it out. It's like I think
that's automated
in my house.
now.
I just want to flush, and
sleep in a sweet bed. Yeah. All right. You offered a third card, so we're still going to do it. Last card.
I didn't know if that nomadic one was.
Yeah. I take photos of these ones because I feel like those.
In what ways has life treated you unfairly?
Oh.
Kind of an eternally optimistic person, so don't look at like regrets or
That's
unfair.
not a regret. It's just like
Just like maybe I was thrown
a bone in the wrong direction.
In what ways has life treated me unfair? I wasn't 6'5" and really good at basketball. I could be in the NBA right now.
Do you like basketball?
Kind of. I did it until the Sonics got moved out of Seattle like 15 years ago. I haven't really watched the NBA since.
Like Sonic the Hedgehog? Like who is this?
No, but it's not like my dream to be a professional sports player. So life unfairly. I don't know. I don't think I've been given.
You've been dealt a pretty good hand?
I think I have, yeah. Again, maybe that's just the eternal like optimist, grateful for what you got attitude that I have.
Or is it that you have so many good things that like the things that have been unfair are just so minimally important?
Yeah,
like,
or they're
like unfair, like that asshole stole my parking spot,
right?
Or like TSA made me open my suitcase because they thought I would. Like anytime I travel with all of this podcast equipment, it takes me an hour to get through security.
Because you have
because everything is electronics.
Looks like a bomb.
Everything. So then they make me pull it all apart. So like that is an unfairity. Someone gets to travel with their like full size toothpaste, doesn't get pulled aside, and I'm like doing the right thing. That's unfair. I don't know. But I guess you've had so many good things happen that the seemingly small, unfair things are just not as important.
Yeah.
That's good. Good perspective. Thanks for being on the podcast. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. I have one more thing. One more question.
Can you put the gun away now?
Yeah. Are you a football fan? Can we just take one moment to talk about Taylor Swift? Okay, let me tell you.
Who's Taylor Swift?
Who's this guy she's dating? This like football player that nobody knew about. Now all of a sudden he's just like, he's just this like,
Okay,
he like literally like made him
I know where you're going with
be
this.
famous.
I know. It was, okay, so this reminds me of the meme that came out a few years ago.
With what?
Travis Scott was singing a song.
Who's that? Oh, that's the guy that was with the Kardashian girl.
He's like the rapper guy.
Oh, wait. Travis Scott. Yeah. Who did he date?
I don't remember who he dated.
Okay.
I don't follow. I'm not really into that pop culture. I don't watch the Kardashians.
So wait, so you knew who this guy was from the beginning?
I knew Travis Scott was because my kids listened to his music.
Okay.
Right. And then he had like a Fortnite video, and he was very popular. I think a lot of his music is auto-tuned. So I don't know how good he is without auto-tuning, but he's singing this song, and he's got his co-singer. They're like singing together. It's a duet. And the other singer is Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah.
Super popular,
whatever,
from the 70s, rock legend. And all the kids, the younger kids are like, oh, Travis Scott is putting Ozzy Osbourne on the map. Like,
fuck, he saw what I was doing with it.
I know.
Damn. I was going to turn this into a meme.
I've seen other social media.
I was hoping you'd be disappointed with me and be like, Irene.
I watch Barstool Sports. They've already tried this a bunch.
All right. I tried. It didn't
the whole
work
point
out.
was she was trying to get me to say, Kelsey was popular before Taylor Swift. People knew who the Chiefs were.
Meme gone wrong. It's all good.
I know too much.
Yeah.
So my sister-in-law tried to do this to me.
Oh, she did?
Not this,
Same
but
thing.
a similar thing. It's a water balloon.
Yeah.
And you have a bunch of balloons with air in them.
Yeah.
And you throw them up in the air and say, try to pop it with a knife.
Yeah.
So you throw it up and you try to stab
You can
it.
obviously see when there's water in a water balloon.
But it's
If
just,
it's fast,
you're from
sure.
like far away and you like throw it up and then you throw the water balloon up and it pops on them. So she tried to do that to me. And when she threw it at me, I caught it and then I popped it on her.
Oh, all right. Well, my meme went wrong. Anyways, we're ending it now without the exciting ending to it. I'm going to see you at DIA, right?
Yeah. DIA is in April 2024. It's a little brainchild of a few of us a few years ago, and it stands for Dental Influencers Alliance.
Yeah.
You don't really have to be an influencer, but
No.
we try to get people out who do influence the way people think or act or treat in a good way. It's all positive.
All love.
And we have a really great speaker lineup and after parties.
So
and you get to see all of your Instagram friends. Again, you don't have to be part of Instagram or social media to come to it, but a lot of people that do come follow each other on Instagram. That's kind of how it started because of that relationship, and they show up and have a ton of fun.
I'll be there.
Hang out.
That Sprint Ray party last year, the year before, that was lit.
Yeah.
That was a good party. The Sprint Ray one.
We had the DJ from Outkast.
Yeah.
And he was
so good.
Rooftop and
so good. And where is it this year?
Dallas.
So not in hot Atlanta.
We have the cowboy theme going on, so bring your cowboy hat. I have a cowboy hat.
I just came back from Nashville. I just bought a bunch of stuff in Nashville.
Do you have boots?
I have boots. I bought boots. I bought boots and a hat. It's going to be good. I have an outfit already planned.
I have a belt buckle. I don't have boots yet because I feel like I want to buy them there in Dallas.
You're going to have sore feet if you do that, though, because boots need working in.
There's a couple, I've talked to a few oral surgeons who train down in Parkland and stuff, and they said, if you buy boots, buy this brand, and I can't remember what it is, so I gotta hit people up and say, hey, what store do I go to? What boots?
Got it.
So pointy or square-toed boots?
I do in the middle ground.
Okay, a little rounded.
You know who you should ask?
I like square.
Ask, what is his name? They practice in Arizona. Yuma.
Ness.
Dr. Ness. You should ask Ness because he wears cowboy boots when he works.
I know. They're very comfortable.
He also wears my scrub caps, just so everyone knows.
So do I.
I know. I have the best core group of oral surgeons wearing my scrub caps. You don't know how proud I am. I am so proud when you guys wear them and then do amazing work. And it's not so much because it's my scrub cap. It's just because I know that I'm in the room of like amazing dentistry happening.
Your aura is there.
Yeah. It's just like, look at my people.
Nice.
These are my humans.
I was really sad a button came off of one of yours the other day.
Oh no.
But it's been used for years and I can easily sew it back on.
Did you get all the ones that I sent you last time I was here?
Yeah.
Okay,
the black ones.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Cool. Is it blue? What's the one that fell off?
It might have been the navy blue one.
A little 4-0, you know?
Just got to find the time to do it.
I can't sew, but I can suture. All right. Thank you. The end.
You're welcome. Bye.
Amazing. Bye. Peace out, peeps.